Good evening. Wednesday here at the Talk of the Town here at the PAC TV studio. My name is Andrew Botieri. I am your guest host. Karen Bukes is watching at home. So Karen, let me know how I do tonight, please, and thank you. Today's show is going to be an exciting one. We're really featuring arts here in the town of Plymouth. Obviously something very near and dear to all of our hearts here. And tonight's program, we will be having both Peggy Page, who is with the Plymouth Center for the Arts, as well as Robin Carver, who is spearheading a arts initiative here in Plymouth through the Patronicity crowdfunding. But first, let's mention our underwriters. Of course, the one and onlys of Kevin and Dave Gallerani of Cape Auto and Service, locations at Samoset and Sandwich Street. Again, great service and great people with great prices. Also, Brewster PC Solutions, wrestling. I know you're out there watching. And again, tune in to PAC TV and watch Wrestling with Computers, a show here that he does regarding computers and computer systems. And also, we cannot forget Mr. Jeff Cohen of One Stop Painting, who not just paints the town of Plymouth, but also is a big, generous donor of and fundraiser himself for many initiatives here in the Plymouth area. And again, so this is show, it's over 400. I'm not sure what number it is. Ken usually lets me know this, but a little 430. Yes, that's what it is. It's our 430th show here on Talk of the Town. And again, I wanted to welcome Peggy Page, who is here to my right, your left. And Peggy is the board president of the Plymouth Center for the Arts. And so I want to welcome Peggy. Let's get Peggy on the screen. There you are. Hey, Peggy, how are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good.
It's good to be here.
And one of the things that I wanted, obviously, with so much going on in the town and really looking at a lot of the different events that we've been having. I just recently took over the chairmanship of the Plymouth Bay Cultural District, and obviously we've done some things together.
Yes, we have.
And I think as I got into this position, I really realized how much more important arts and culture were in the town of Plymouth. And so that's why I figured tonight's programs would really be centered around arts and the culture. So anyways, welcome to Talk of the Town.
Well, thank you. It's my first time, so this is kind of exciting.
Oh, it's going to be a piece of cake. It'll be done before you know it.
Oh,
So one of the things that I wanted to obviously talk to you about is you just recently took over as board president.
Yes.
From Richard Mulcahy, who did a phenomenal job there. But
right.
So just kind of what's been going on over at the Center for the Arts?
Well, lots, as usual.
Yes.
But most recently, we've been preparing and actually launched our 50th annual Juried Art Show. We're celebrating 50 years of arts, and it all started, there's a long story to it. We don't have time for that today, but it basically started 50 years ago in the backyard of the Russell Library, so it's come full circle in 50 years. Yeah, so there's a lot of stories behind it, and craziness. I mean, people have been talking to us, but I remember the art show, and it was down on Brewster Gardens, and my heels were sunk in the mud, and that kind of thing. So it's really been fun to hear all the old stories come at us, and we have some other things planned going forward that will bring about the history of art and culture in the Plymouth the Plymouth community, but bringing it to the center of the town, which we feel we're right in the center of the action there. So
smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. So we're happy to be there.
Oh, that's great. Ken, if you could throw up picture number 5 for me, please. And my next question is, moving forward, and with obviously, aside from the 2020, the 400th anniversary, because obviously, as we've talked about in some of the meetings that I've been to with the Plymouth 400, that the 2020 really is just sort of a date, and that, what are we going to continue for the next 10 years, 15 years, and so. What is your vision that you see for the Plymouth Center for the Arts in regards to, again, how it will evolve as the town itself evolves?
Yeah. Well, we're planning to move forward with many different things. our programs and classes and you know, the awareness of where we are has just expanded. It's exploded. But we have something really exciting going forward that's going to even make it better for everyone in town, because we really believe that everyone should be able to experience the arts. And being in the old buildings that we're in, that's not always so easy for people who have some physical and challenges. So we are embarking on a project in 2018 that will put in a handicap accessible elevator, so that all of our classrooms and all of our studios will be accessible to everyone. And it's a huge project, and we may look a little different and kind of broken a little bit for a while, but when it's all finished, it's going to be something that the town will be very proud of, and it will expand our classes and our art shows and our places for people to meet, to have weddings, studios for artists to rent. So we're really excited about it. And beyond that, we just want to give back to the town. And we want to be here for any kind of cultural experience people want to have. So
with the, obviously with the elevator getting people in with disabilities, do you think that there'll be more participation from those individuals in regards to artists coming in who might have been wheelchair bound? That I think that's exciting.
Well, actually, right now we work with the Department of Developmental Services, ARC, and REACH, and they have their own special little shows. You know, that they have their little studio shows, but it can only be on the main floor. Some of our art classes that they would like to take happen, you know, below level, and if they sign up for them, we really are obligated to bring that class up on the first floor, and that's not always easy when you're trying to juggle rooms and space and everything. So we have support of those groups. They're very excited about this project, and we also, our volunteers are all retired age, and some of us, you know, every once in a while have a little problem with a knee, so it's going to be really great for us, and it's going to allow us to have much more storage for all of the equipment that we use for all the different art shows. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's really, yeah.
And also another thing that, well, that, you know, that I've noticed and now part of is the fact that you do also, which I don't think many people might know or might not know, is that you also offer an area of the Art Center to display and promote local artists' books.
Yes.
Or office books.
Yes, we do. We have, 2 years ago, we put together what we call our artisan shop, and it's all original works of art that are produced by our members. It goes from books to jewelry, you know, to scarves, to knitted things, to prints, to painting, to pottery. I mean, it's all there, and it's probably one of the places in town that people don't know about that you can come and get a very unique gift for someone, and it's not only made in the USA, but it's made locally. So it's really, it's a nice little gem that we're trying to get the word out, so thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
And I know that when Robin and I had gone to the Art Center last week to pick up the gift certificate that you so kindly gave to the Cultural District for our fundraiser, that I had a chance, I mean, I've walked by it several times, but really had a chance to go inside the gift shop and sort of peruse around, and was really kind of blown away by the eclecticness of all the different pieces in there. And I mean, from musical instruments to handcrafted items, walking sticks, paintings, jewelry. It's pretty impressive.
And it kind of reflects our classes, because we have teachers that do all of those things. We have classes in origami. We have, you know, music classes. We have photography classes, pottery, children's dancing. You know, it's just there's a whole gamut of things that people can get involved in. So we're hoping that more and more people will come to us, and we'll be able to serve them even better once we get the space all accessible to everybody.
Fantastic.
So.
Talk about the art stroll. I know that that's been something that is very popular with the local artists, as well as people who, you know, just like to be able to sort of wander. And I think that North Street, as we found out, we'll talk a little bit later about the first annual art and music on North. But just the importance of the art stroll, what it means to the artists, and again, to the community as a whole.
Well, it started, I think about 12 years ago, as a kickoff the day after the opening gala to the annual Juried Art Show.
Okay.
And it just kind of exploded, and then it kind of went away for a while, but we're bringing it back. And this past year, the businesses in town, the connection and the relationships we make with the businesses in town are huge. Not only because we all want to be able to know what everybody else is doing, but they are supporters, and sometimes they don't get the credit that they deserve, because many of them, not only do they support us when we have the art stroll, they say, yes, put someone in front of us, bring your art in front of us. And some might say, don't block our door, but we never get that comment at all. But we just feel that the art stroll is kind of nice, because what it does is it brings art out into the community instead of having them have to find us and come into the building. So it's just a joyous thing. And this year, Jesse Fries and Ed Murray, who own the art shop right across from Memorial Hall, were the co-chairs of the art stroll.
And recently they just moved there too,
yes,
didn't they?
yeah. And they did a fantastic job getting artists to sign up and businesses to sign up. And again, the gamut of the type of art that goes out on the street even. I mean, this town is amazing how much talent is here, and it's really encouraging.
That's great. That's great. Ken, could we have photo number 4, please? And the next photo that's going to pop up is a photo of, I believe, Heidi Mayo's children that she brought out, her students. And, okay. Yep. And of course, there's a nice picture of the side. There's the.
There we are at the Waterfront.
That's
Festival.
the water. Well, keep that up. Then we'll talk about the Waterfront Festival. So yes, the Waterfront Festival, obviously, the Chamber's huge event.
Right.
And how was that?
Well, this was the first year that we did this.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, this was the first year that we really got our act together and we did it. And I want to thank, the volunteers that helped out, my husband and my son who helped me pitch the tent. And it was like, we've got to do this. This is our 50th year. Why not start a tradition going forward now? So we had such a fantastic time down there. We mostly told them what we were doing at the Arts Center, but we actually sold memberships, and that was interesting because a lot of people didn't realize that we have memberships at the Plymouth Center for the Arts. But we do. We have a supporting membership, but we also have artist memberships. So it allows you to enter your art if you're a member for a very nominal fee, which is a lot less than what other places do.
Just curious then why, after all these years, that was it just something that you guys had? I mean, because I know you guys are always like running around like a one-armed paper hanger, as they say, with all the things you wear. And again, it's all volunteer, and as we know. It's sometimes it's hard to get people to always be there to volunteer.
That's right. Well, this was something that had been talked about for years, and I have to hand it to Nancy Markley and myself, and not handing it to myself, but I mean, she was the one that said, I will help you. And she stepped right up, and several other volunteers, and we just decided we'll do it minimal. We paid for the booth. We, put what we could out there, and people were really very receptive of it. So we're going to do it again next year.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And it was a beautiful day.
Oh, it was. It was gorgeous. And we had a beautiful spot. You can see we had a view of the ocean.
Perfect. Perfect. And Ken, if you could then throw up photo number 4, which is the little girl painting on the easel. And this was something that was a sort of a collaboration between the Plymouth Center for the Arts and the Plymouth Cultural District. This was our first annual art and music on North. And so talk a little bit about that and how I know that you guys really enjoyed it as well as we did.
I mean, we were excited to have this happen because many years before, when the Waterfront Festival was down at the waterfront, not many people would come up towards town. And so those days were very quiet at the Art Center. So when you came to me and said that we want to do this, I said, oh, this is going to be fantastic. And it turned out it was. I actually took that picture, and I'm not a photographer, but I sent it to Richard Mulcahy just to tell him, to let him know what's going on. And he thought it was pretty good, so he actually put it up on our website. So, but it was
I think
just,
you need to put that in the juried show for
Yeah,
next
right.
year.
right. But it just kind of had that feeling of what we were trying to
Yeah.
achieve that day, I think. So,
Yeah, and we had, we had different artists scattered around. I know that Maggie McWilliams, or Margie McWilliams of the upsale or
Yeah,
resale.
right.
Sorry, Margie.
Yeah.
And had her two daughters
Yeah.
out there as artists. And then we also had a young lady playing guitar. We had somebody up at the Blue Blinds and then around the corner in front of the Guilty Bakery. And then had Michelle McGrath's group, which is an a cappella group, that was just phenomenal.
we got so many positive feedback on that for people coming into the arts. Oh, do you do this every weekend? And I'm going, oh my God!
I wish.
If they knew how much work went into it.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely the combination of having music and art together. Is just it's a great combination.
And we want to look to build upon that for next year.
Yep.
I know with our cultural district, we've already talked about it. Again, like most things that we do at the cultural district, it's all like last minute. And but this for next year, we're going to have. I think Michelle's group wants to come back, and then I think in the morning we'll try to get the either Plymouth North or South a cappella group.
Should I be taking notes? Is this a planning meeting here that I'm doing?
No, but believe me, I'll be calling you.
Okay.
And so it'll be something where, because that really, I mean, the solo acoustic guitar players were phenomenal, but even for myself as a guitar player, but nothing captivates me more than when I listen to an a cappella group and just hear all the different levels, all the different octaves of voices, and so we're going to look to to bring
great.
that in for
That's
next
great.
year
That's
next
great.
year as well.
So.
And let's see, Ken, do you have photo number 6?
This is fascinating how this works here.
When it works.
Yeah.
Okay. I've done 5. No, the other one that looks like that. There should be another one out in front.
Oh, right. Yes, it's with you. There we
Yes, there we go.
There we go.
No, I didn't put that one in
Oh,
there.
you didn't? Okay.
And what was this part? What was this event here?
This was our stroll that we just had on October 1st.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was the kickoff for the annual show. And you can notice we have the tent up over the deck going in, and it's just kind of to commemorate the tent show, which was basically what it was, tents all over town in different places,
okay.
when they were doing it. So, but this was a couple of the artisans that were out in front of our building for that day, and they did really well. What they do is they bring their things and their artwork. I shouldn't say things. Excuse me, all artists. But they bring their artwork, and they demo some of it. They can sell it, and it's really people. You would be surprised how many people buy things. On the art stroll. There's a woman that was there last week that said she does her Christmas shopping at our art stroll, and she was very upset a couple years ago when we didn't have it. So it was like, okay, if there's no other reason, we should bring it back for the Christmas shoppers.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Idea.
But they get very good objects. So
Wonderful. Now, you're with the Plymouth Center for the Arts. You have sort of been volunteering your time for many of the Plymouth Plantation. So tell the audience a little bit about Peggy Page and what her past endeavors have been and what really inspires you to do what you do.
Well, oh gosh, that's a tough question. But I do, I am a volunteer now. At the plantation, I was the coordinator of volunteers and interns. And I also volunteer for United Way of Greater Plymouth County. I'm on their board as well. And I think just, I don't know, I kind of like giving back. I mean, I started volunteering really officially when my kids were little. And I was den mother, and then, baseball booster club mother, that kind of thing. And then it just got to be more and more of a way of life, I guess. And I think I like volunteering because if I want to go off and see my grandkids, I can do that. I don't. I have to be tied down to a job, but I don't. I don't. I like to give back. I don't necessarily have to be, in the spotlight or anything like that. But I think there's a lot. There's so many wonderful volunteers, and having been a volunteer coordinator, you get to see that generosity that. It's just phenomenal. We have, right now at the Arts Center, we have about 150 active volunteers.
That many? Well, I knew you had a lot, but I didn't realize that.
But I mean, they don't all come every day, but they donate close to 10,000 hours a year.
Wow.
That, is
impressive.
crazy. And if you go onto the Massachusetts site for volunteers, the going rate for volunteers is about $29 an hour. So if you take that time 10,000, you're really supporting that's a great support,
Wow,
and
yeah.
it's wonderful to know that they're willing to do that, and they can go off when they need to. They don't, and some of them are so dedicated they don't dare not come in. So and we have a wonderful volunteer coordinator at the Art Center now, Debbie Hardy. She and I worked together for a couple of years, and she's really taken the bull by the horns, and she schedules all the volunteers that greet people when they come in. 13 different volunteers a week. So she's got a lot of scheduling to do back and forth. And but it's just, I like being a volunteer. But beyond that, I mean, I'm a mother. I have two sons, 4 grandchildren, a husband that's retired.
Ken, are you watching, Ken?
Yeah,
Kenny, are you watching?
Yeah, a beautiful home in West Plymouth. And I just, I kind of like this community. I could never live far away from the ocean.
Yeah.
Having lived next to the ocean, I grew up in Missouri, and I didn't really even have my foot in the ocean until I came out here and to Massachusetts. So it's been a really special place.
Well, and the volunteering is so important, and I was very honored when I was able to come and
That's
do
right.
your
That's
volunteer
right.
appreciation
That's
dinner,
right.
which was just, you could see, and got to meet Deborah as well, but really just got to see how dedicated all the volunteers are, how tight-knit they really all are.
Yeah.
And so every time that I go in there now, whether it's to drop off a flyer for the cultural district or whatever, they are just such an inviting group.
Yeah.
And I'm able to be there when visitors come in, and they really make them almost feel like they're walking into their home, not an art center.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to hear you say that, because that's our goal. That's our real goal, because it's an experience that, maybe they're having for the first time. We don't want it to be a not very good experience. And we also, being on North Street, I mean, especially if you look at our guest book, we actually have people visiting from all over the world. Portugal, China, Germany, and some of them can't speak English, but they know art. And that was something that's what's so nice about being involved at the Plymouth Center for the Arts, because I remember Congressman Keating said one time when he gave a speech, the Congressional Youth Art Show is at our place every year, and he was talking about when he was overseas someplace, and he was standing next to a piece of art, and there was a gentleman next to him that looked like he was homeless. But they were both looking at the same piece of art, and they had connected through that experience, So it was really kind of, inspiring that we have that power inside that building, and we always have at least 200 pieces of artwork up, 7 days a week, 50 weeks a year. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, I think art and music, in my opinion, are the two universal languages. That no matter what language you might speak, you all have an appreciation for it.
Right. So,
Great. Well, we've got probably a minute or two left.
okay.
What can people look forward to if they in visiting the Plymouth Center for the Arts, and some of the things that you're kind of thinking about possibly putting together for for over the next few years?
Yeah. Well, over the next few years, we have lots of big shows coming in. We have the New England Watercolor Society. They actually live in our building now. But they have some special shows that they're bringing in. Our photography show will be coming back. But just from now until the end of the year, we have we have 5 more events for the annual show festival. And then we kick into the holiday season. We have the Americana Theater coming in doing 8 performances, and Neil McGarry is going to come and do a one-night performance of the Christmas Carol, the one-man performance of the Christmas Carol. Yeah. He's fantastic.
Yes.
So beyond that, I mean, we're going to keep trucking along, and we're going to change the look of our building a little bit, and just kind of make sure everything runs smoothly. We hope.
And what is your website?
The website is artsplymouth.org.
artsplymouth.org.
Right.
And again, I wanted to again thank Peggy Page for being here, board president of the Plymouth Center for the Arts. And if you haven't been to the Arts Center, go there. It's free.
That's right.
And again, between all the incredible art that they have, from oils, watercolors to photographs, it's phenomenal. It really is. I mean, you'd think that it looks like a little building when you walk in the front door, but it just keeps growing and expanding as you go, as well as the gift shop as well. So, Peggy, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on. And
good to be here. This was
it's pretty easy, huh?
Yeah, it was very easy.
Piece of cake, piece of cake.
Make it easy, yeah.
Well, so we're just going to you can throw up any one of those photos if you want while we're transitioning out. Ken? And we're ready to, make sure you take that off. As we make a quick switch here, but again, Peggy has just been a pleasure to work with the Cultural District as well. And again, if you haven't been to both the Center for the Arts or any of the other artist galleries that we have around town, you really need to make an effort, especially the Arts Center right there, and all the incredible things that they do. So awesome, good stuff. Yeah. Well, our next guest is Robin Carver, and Robin is tell people a little bit about who you are and why you're here.
Okay. Well, my name is Robin Carver. I'm the town planner for the town of Plymouth. And I've been there for about 3 3/4 years now. And I've always been interested in the arts. I studied fine arts and interior design when I was in college, and my career kind of led through interior design, commercial space planning, and then I've been doing land planning and site design for 30-odd years, and ended up working for the town. And the one thing that I love my job, and I love the people I work with. It's great. The community is amazing, and there's so much potential in Plymouth. But the one thing that I feel like I've been missing is the creative part of what I have done in the past with site design and land planning. And although I love what I do, I felt like I wanted to have something that was creative that I could instill and incorporate into my work and what I do for my job. And my boss, Lee Hartman, and I were at a planning conference about 3 years ago up in Salem. And we were walking around, and we had an after hours with the planning people at the town of Salem, and they had a public art planner on staff. And I know we don't have that capability right now here, but just talking to them, and I thought, geez, that's what I want to do. I want to start to bring some more of public art. We have the performing arts in Plymouth that are so successful with Project Arts and the concerts on the waterfront and the Spire Center, Memorial Hall. You know, there's so many great venues and so many wonderful people performing, including you. And I just thought we need to do more for the visual arts in town. So that kind of got us going, and we had that pilot project a couple of years ago with street furniture, when we had the Adirondack chairs, benches, and picnic tables that were built by the Votech students, and then the high school art students painted and designed some of them. We had a call for art through the Center for the Arts on other pieces that were done, and that was really successful. Then we had the lobster crawl, so we've just had such great reception to all this. So as you know, we're doing our fundraising for our new initiative right now.
And it's and I think for Plymouth, and you're right, the performing arts has just been because there's also the Brewster Productions does the acoustic nights down at the Hedge House during the summer. You've got L Knife does the sponsoring of the other concerts.
Yes.
Their name escapes me right now, but they do more for an older crowd of live music down at the waterfront. And one of the things that I think really started that we looked at, or that I looked at when I was the lobsters. I mean, they have really become not just part of the landscape, but the lobsters have sort of become celebrities.
They have.
I mean,
everybody's getting their pictures taken with them, right?
And the whole thing is they take pictures, and I've seen people from all over the world that have been doing it, and then they'll post them on their Facebook with the hashtag, and it's really been exciting. Obviously, if people have been down to the waterfront, mostly at Pilgrim Park, we've got the Adirondack chairs that, again, both the students as well as local artists have personalized. And so the initiative that you've been spearheading, and I know you put a lot of work into it, and sometimes you're not sure what direction we're all running in, but this is a collaboration between the Plymouth Bay Cultural District, the Town of Plymouth, as well as the Plymouth Chamber. But talk about a little bit about the initiative, sort of what our mission is, what we're trying to do. And then, really, again, what the end result we're trying to look for here.
Okay. Someone had mentioned to me Patronicity, which is a crowdfunding platform. They're a national crowdfunding platform, and they work with different states and the agencies within the states that actually do grants to towns and local communities that are trying to activate or energize public spaces and community spaces. So they work with mass development in the state of Massachusetts. And if you have a project that you want to submit to mass development and they accept it, they will put aside matching funds if you can reach your goal. So you have a local crowdfunding goal that we're working on right now. As you know, we had our fundraiser last night for part of it. And if we reach our goal within a certain period of time, we'll get that match from mass development. Whether we get there or not, we still have a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that we're going to be able to do. We have several items that are a part of this initiative. We want to expand on the street furniture that we had done on our first pilot project, more Adirondack chairs, benches, and picnic tables.
Let me see if I can get Ken to put up photo number 10. I think this is our visitors from Wareham, I think, that are in the chairs.
In the chairs, yeah. It's a great picture. And I think the Adirondack chairs, everybody loves those. They're actually a fun sculpture in themselves just by the look of them. They're greatly painted. They're comfortable to sit in. They're a great spot to just sit and look out at the beautiful waterfront. So we definitely want to have more chairs. And the state parks down by the Mayflower and Plymouth Rock, there they are. They would accept those chairs in their parks as well. So they would be willing to probably have more of them down there. So that's one part of the initiative.
And how many do we have down there now?
We have 5 chairs, 5 benches, and 5 picnic tables that are spread out around the waterfront, Nelson Park, Jenny Gristmill, Stevens Field, and then all around town in front of Memorial Hall we have 2 of the benches. So they're kind of spread out around the waterfront and downtown. So we definitely want to have more of those available. So that's part of the new initiative. And then we also have in town, we have 8 utility boxes that the town owns. And utility boxes are the big kind of gray boxes you'll see on the side of some of the streets that the utilities and all the electrical transformers and things are kind of packed inside.
Yeah. Here we've got
right there.
Somerset and Court
Street, yes. So there's 8 of those that the town owns, which is great because if they're owned by a utility company, we can't touch them. They're not ours to do anything with. But the town has 8 right around town. So what we're proposing to do is wrapping these with old historic photographs, black and white or a sepia tone of what was historically there. And we have, archives in Pilgrim Hall Museum and all kinds of wonderful old photographs of Plymouth and all downtown in different areas. So that's one of the initiatives where I think that's going to be a great asset.
And so what we would have here is obviously that Somerset and Court, and so when we wrap it, it would be a photograph, just say, of that same location, that same view, but from 100 years ago,
right?
Or maybe even longer,
right. And I think there was an old Samoset house or Samoset hotel or something around there. I might be a little bit wrong on that. And I think that might be one of the potential photographs as well. So we have several to look. There's a lot to look at, but we've identified some really great photographs.
And we've got this one. We've got the one in front of Town Square. So that'll be one in front of setting the space, and so that will probably be one that shows what the Town Square looked like again 100 plus years ago.
Right.
A couple down on the waterfront.
Yes.
Lobster Hut is one.
Yes.
And
oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me.
Oh.
They're,
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
there's one on Park Street.
Yes.
South, right down
right
there.
across the street. Yeah.
And I think there's a couple more down around the waterfront. There's one at Brewster Park, Brewster Gardens, and a couple other places. Howland Street, maybe.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
But there's 8 of them, which
Yeah.
is great. So they're around town. So that's one of it. And then the other part of this is we're looking at murals. Working with the students, Mike Capel, who's the Director of Visual and Performing Arts, he is creating a class, a mural class for the students. So we want to work with the students in the schools. We want to work with some of the other outreach groups, the development services groups. I think ARC and REACH and some of those groups that are interested in maybe, if not doing murals, doing some of the street furniture, painting. So we'll be working a lot with the students on this aspect, and there are 3 locations. We've got the skate park that is down at Holmes Playground. That's got a big wall on the back of it that's never appealing looking, but it's got so much potential. And there are so many kids that hang out down there. We'd like to get them involved as well with the students, and if maybe they are students or whatever, to own it and to enjoy it and to make that part of their space. So we'll be painting murals with students and the youth in town. And then we have 2 bridges, Main Street and Market Street bridges, and they have the underpasses and a couple of the abutments on the sides of those that have been tagged in the past with graffiti, and the DPW Parks Department, I think it's the Parks Department, have to go around and paint over everything all the time with gray paint. So you'll see big, wide expanses of gray
Patches of gray, yeah.
paint.
Yep.
So we'd rather have those be designed with murals. And so we're working with the students, as I said, and the community to create those as well. And I think those will be a great asset and a big hit. And it's beautiful because you walk down, the Town Brook Parkway, walkway, and you go under those underpasses, and you go down to Jenny Grist Mill, and it's such a beautiful walk. And to be able to walk through those bridges and come out and see murals instead of just gray paint everywhere will be
graffiti.
Or graffiti
Yeah.
will be wonderful. Yeah.
And so again, this is a collaboration between the town, the Plymouth Chamber, and again, hats off to Kevin O'Reilly, as well as Amy Naples, who have been very instrumental in sort of helping us and guiding us a little bit here and there.
Yes.
And and then also the Plymouth Bay Cultural District as well. What other, you mentioned the schools. How did you start connecting with Mike Capel on getting, because obviously it's, art is great, and as Peggy was even saying, our art for the children, and obviously being able to tie the schools in, I think really cements this as a program that everyone can be involved in, and it affects everybody.
It does, and you want it to be a community project, because then people that live here and love it here and they own it and they're a part of it, it just means that much more to everybody, I think. And the students, they're a great asset. There's so much talent, and there's so much local talent with the students, with the local artists, regional artists, everybody that's been involved in the past projects, and we found that out. And as Peggy said earlier, it's amazing how much talent there is around here. And the students alone, I think, I was introduced to Mike Capel when a couple years ago, we were looking at the first pilot project, talking to him about potential working with the students, and introduced to Jim Hanna, the principal of the Votech School. So he and I worked together. He got his students to build the pieces, and then Mike and I started talking about the students and the potential. And even then, he and I took a walk down Town Brook, and I said, I'd also love to do murals. I'd love to do something with that skate park wall. And he said, oh my God, I want to have a class of that. I'd love to do that. So I said, all right, we'll be back together. So here we are, 2 years later, on the next initiative together, and he's thrilled. And
Fantastic.
so it's exciting. It really is.
If anybody wants to call in and ask us any questions about this art initiative, the number is 508-830-3971. Or, we're really getting high tech here. If you'd also like, you can text us at 508-982-7523. Either way, we will, take your calls, and somebody other than Dave Gallerani can call in. I know Dave's always on the phone giving us a buzz through this program. And the patronicity crowdfunding that we're doing, obviously the goal for the cultural district and is to raise $13,000.
Yes.
And in doing that, the Mass Development will match us $13,000. So we have our fingers crossed. because obviously that will allow us to do all of these initiatives and do them, A plus, with just the best people, the best supplies, and everything else. Right. And I know that right now we're sitting just at about 8,000, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So we are short. We have until October 18th to raise the additional. It's actually $47,070, I think it is.
Yes.
If my math is correct.
That's just 1 week away.
1 week away. And obviously, if anybody's interested in finding out more about that, you can go on to patronicity.com/Plymouth. And that will bring you into the video that we have on there that both Kevin O'Reilly, the executive director of the Plymouth Chamber, and Robin Carver over here and myself were part of that video, really promoting what the arts mean to Plymouth. And again, if anybody's out there, and even even a little bit helps, because a little bit adds up. So if anybody feels like they want to get involved with this, please let us know. But again, it's patronicity and .com/Plymouth. And it's a great video. It really shows what we're trying to achieve through all of this. The other part of this is really, again, if we can have photo number 8, Ken, which would be the bench at Mabbitt Park. Obviously, the Adirondack chairs are something that you always see people sit in them. I even like to go sit in them. Mm-hmm. But talk a little bit about the benches and or the tables and how that is part of what we're doing, but being, again, what other locations are we looking to add to these?
Sure. The benches, there are 5 benches, and this right here, particular one, is called the striper fish. This was done actually by Jennifer McCarthy, and she is an art teacher at Nathaniel Morton. Yes, school.
Oh, wow.
So she designed this one, and then we also had a picnic table that was designed by her students. And the picnic table from her students, I believe, is in Stevens Field.
Okay.
So we have benches. There's 2 of them right in front of Memorial Hall that were done by 2 local artists that are members of the Center for the Arts, and I apologize that their names are slipping my mind. But so there's 2 up there. This one now, this was located there last year, the striper bench down there in Mabbitt Park. I believe right now it's on the new boardwalk that's behind Woods Seafood that connects Woods over towards the Lobster Hut. So I believe that's the one's on the boardwalk right now. So that one got moved.
Nice.
And then there is one down in Jenny Grist Mill on Jenny Pond. It's the herring run bench, and it's lovely. It's all herring fish on it, and it's carved a little bit, and it's set in a very serene setting back in kind of the green space behind the picnic table, just kind of overlooking the pond. So it's a very contemplative place to kind of meditate. So that's a nice location for that one. And then there was another one that was done. Mary Johannesson did one, and that one is got shorebirds, different birds on it, and that one is at Nelson Park.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that one at Nelson Beach, Nelson Park.
Yes. So those are the 5 benches that are located around town, and then we have 5 picnic tables, and those we did place in parks because they're great places where families gather and people can sit and have picnics. There's one in Stevens Field. There is one at Nelson Park. There are 2 down by the solar calendar just north of East Bay Grill on that little linear park that connects the parking lots. And then there is one at the Jenny Grist Mill Park as well. So, and they were placed in areas where people go sit and have picnics and lunches and whatever.
Excellent. Actually, technology worked. I just got a text. And of course, it's from Dave Gallerani.
Your one and only fan?
My one and only, yeah, he's the only one that watches, except for Karen Bukes, of course. But Dave says, okay, I'm not calling in, but thank you and Robin for taking the initiative and having the love for Plymouth to see this through. Fundraising isn't easy or fun, and having the forethought and vision to make this happen takes tenacity and passion. Dave, thank you from
Thank
the bottom
you.
of our hearts,
Very
because
appreciate it.
obviously, you know, you've been also somebody who born and raised here in Plymouth, 4 generations at Cape Otto, and your love of Plymouth really is seen through all the things that you do and your contributions and sponsorships of many different things that happen around Plymouth, from the Lions to many other things. So hats off to you, my friend, as well. Awesome. Hey, it works, Ken. I like that. It works. Now, we had up there both the Adirondack chairs, the benches, and also the tables. What's the process, you know, once we raise those monies? And again, if anybody wants to look, they can go on to patronicity.com/Plymouth. And again, you can kind of poke around, and if you would like to leave something for us, you're more than welcome to. But what's the process in regards to how a table, chair, or bench gets designed? Who then, because obviously there are more artists around town
Yes.
than there are benches and tables and chairs to paint.
Right.
How does that whole process work?
Okay, so we'll probably be a similar process to what we did the last time. We will reach out. I don't know if the Votech School has the capabilities this year to build any of the pieces. If they can, we will have them do whatever they can, and then we can supplement. We have a couple of different manufacturers that we've been looking at, and they're interested in working with us. So we have ways to get the pieces. And what the timeline would be to have the pieces constructed this winter, have the artists be thinking about their designs through the winter and the spring, and then they submit their designs to a group of people that are on a committee that review those. The last time we had 2 people from the Center for the Arts, myself, and they were Andrew Kuzman and Richard Mulcahy.
Oh, okay.
And myself and Tony Provenzano from the Board of Selectmen was on it, and there were a few other people, and we reviewed the designs from the artists. We actually did a call for art through the Center for the Arts.
Oh, okay.
For artists that in the region, and we sent out the call to different art associations all on the South Shore. So it wasn't even just Plymouth. So we really did spread it out around the local regional area. But we also did designate a few pieces we knew that we were giving to the students to work with in the schools. And then their art teachers work with them. The students came up with their designs, and they work with their teachers, and they came up with amazing designs. The students were incredible. The pieces they did were just beautiful. So it was a combination of students and local artists. So the time frame is getting the pieces constructed over the winter and spring. The designs come together in the spring. They're chosen. Then they're given late spring into June to actually create and paint the pieces, and then we had an unveiling at the Center for the Arts, and we had all the pieces brought into the Art Center, and we had this wonderful show where you could just walk through and see them all there before they got taken out and installed around town. So I'm assuming we would do the same kind of thing for that. The murals, I haven't gotten anything particular from Mike, but I would imagine they would be working on their designs through their school process, and then they would be painting them either in their spring curriculum, or maybe they would take it and then do them during the summer, paint them. I don't know.
So for a mural, and Kenny, if you could throw up photo number 3, the bridge. So do they? And again, I couldn't draw a circle if my life depended on it, but unless I used a quarter, like I used to do back in school. But for the murals, will they first do like something on a small scale to sort of see
Yes.
what that looks like, and that will go to you or in the committee to then approve it? And then as you see here, this is this is Market Street, and as you see the gray paint there, and again, if you can imagine that being just a colorful, beautiful mural, and again, design would be depending on what gets chosen. I mean, it could be something historic, or it could be something playful, or just colorful, or...
I think, and none of this has been totally decided, but I imagine because we've been talking about art and history and how they tie together for the hometown, that there would be some type of a theme that would incorporate some type of history or art and history, or how they relate to each other, or something to that effect. Not not knowing what the particular theme may be, or maybe it's just that general.
Yeah.
Because you can do a lot with that. And then they would go to a design review committee. The designs would be tweaked, worked with, either chosen, but when they're working with the students, a lot of that gets done with the students and the teacher.
Gotcha.
We would be working with them, because even the last time when we did the call for art, the students worked with their teachers and they had their own designs that got refined as they went through.
Gotcha.
Didn't have to do much to refine them. They were pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, but that would be they would be working through those designs through their classes, I imagine, and they would be doing those sketches on a smaller scale and say, okay, when this gets blown up to the full size, it'll be this kind of a scale. So yeah, they would be doing designs at a smaller scale, I would imagine.
And I know Mike Capel is very excited. I bumped into him at the meeting last Friday, which was the Plymouth 400 meeting, where we had, again, groups from the UK, the Netherlands, and also the art and cultures people from around here. And he was just, when I went over and we started talking about it, he lights up like a Christmas tree. I mean, he's excited about it. Obviously, he can get his kids involved in it, which is really, really important. And on that particular photo of the underpass of the bridge, I also spoke to Jeff Cohen from One Stop Painting, who happens to be an underwriter of this wonderful, wonderful show that we have here, and he has offered to then, once the murals are done, to coat it in a anti-graffiti type of I guess just a covering, so that if because the whole thing,
like a seal or
a
something.
sealer,
Yes.
And I know that what we talked about, obviously, as you can see in this picture, the gray paint is covering up some tagging, and what we're thinking, and it's also been sort of purported statistically too, is that if kids paint the murals, then they're less apt to be tagged by kids. And so hopefully that
or other artists, because they respect an artist's work.
Yeah,
right.
And so hopefully that will be that'll be something that we'll be able to do there. But between this one and then also the main street, I mean, how cool is that going to be to walk down that pathway and just have something that pops out? I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful walk from Ginny Gristmill, down to Brewster Gardens, along the brook. So that's going to be fantastic. And so if you can also pop up photo number 2, which is the Holmes Skate Park, sir. Thank you, gentleman and a scholar. There we go. Obviously, I know that there is a article in front of town meeting to redo the park, but that obviously, no matter what they do, I don't think they can take that, because that's a retaining wall, because I think there's a home right up over behind that, and that's the wall that we've talked about getting done over. Obviously, hopefully they will make it kind of looks like it's done in layers of some cracks and stuff in there, but again, something where, and every time I drive by, because I live in West Plymouth, and I always take the back road, Summer Street, to get down to the waterfront, but the park is always used.
It is.
There's got to be, anywhere from a dozen kids there on the skateboards to kids playing at the basketball court, and and we need a place like that for them to be able to do that, because if not, I mean, I've lived in some towns where, all of a sudden the kids are on the sidewalks with their skateboards.
Right.
And obviously, you notice up in on downtown, you never see that.
Right.
So, but this is
And
going
a
to...
lot of towns don't allow that either,
Yeah.
because they're dangerous on
Yeah.
the sidewalks. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously you can, again, visualize murals here, again, leaving it up to the students and Mike Capel, the visual arts director, on really coming up with some really unique concepts for that particular thing. So that's really, really cool.
I just wanted to say,
Yep.
I went with Mike Capel to look at it last spring,
Yeah.
and then I went again with Jason, who was doing the video for
Oh, yes,
Patronicity.
yes.
And both times we went down there the kids that were down there, because we were standing there taking pictures and talking about it, they all came up and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the kids that we were down there, when my Kate and I were there, were like, we were concerned. We thought maybe you're going to start building condos here or something. We said, no, actually what we'd like to do. And they're like, oh, that's great. And we said, we'd like you guys to get involved. So they were thrilled and really excited about it. And then I came back with Jason, and other kids were there like, what are you doing? And we told them. And so they were very receptive and thought that was a great idea. One of them even told us about Plymouth, New Hampshire, near Plymouth State College, how they have provided, the town has provided, and I'm going to actually call the town to find out about it, just segments of walls, cement walls in a park area like this where people can go and just paint on them.
Oh, wow.
And so I wanted to find out more about how that all works, but even that's a great idea too, just to give them the opportunities to paint and to be able to express themselves. And
That's funny that they said, yeah, because all Plymouth needs is more condos, right? Yeah, right. Anyways, a little bit of a topic of discussion for hotel room for the 2020, but anyways, I regress. Or digress, or whatever that word might be. Anyways, we did the fundraiser last night at New World Tavern.
we did.
And I want to thank both Selectman Tony Provenzano, who came out, Vinnie DiMacedo, our state senator, and also our state representative, Matt Muratori, who, and I really appreciate them coming out, because obviously all three of them have full schedules, and all three of them, and I know Tony had come in to talk to us as a cultural district at one point, but Matt and Vinnie are really advocates for the arts. They were actually able to override parts of the veto of Governor Baker to actually refund some of those dollars back into the arts. And obviously, Plymouth has been able to take advantage of some of that, as well as other towns and cities around the Commonwealth as well. So, but we wanted to thank them. We had Brandon Manter, who is, this kid, 17 years old, he rocks. He's a rock star. And,
He was wonderful.
just wonderful. His mom and dad are great. And, we just had a great turnout food-wise. I think everybody, not only did everybody
Really
eat
great.
well, but everybody took a substantial doggy bag home with them. And again, we want to thank all the places that gave, from Speedwell to Bella's to T-Bones to Tavern on the Wharf, Koji's, Guilty Bakery, for again contributing to that. And again, if anybody is interested to look into further, you can go on to patronicity.com/Plymouth. And I want to thank Robin Carver for being my guest, along with Peggy Baker. I think we've got just some great things going on, and other initiatives that we have for the cultural district. We're going to do, as I was mentioning to Peggy, we're going to do the second annual Art and Music on Walk as well. And we've got, again, Cape Auto. Thanks, Dave, for our one and only text is typically our one and only phone call as well. One Stop Painting with Jeff Cohen, PC Solutions. And again, if you see Karen around town, say hi to her. And if you see Kenny Bukes around town, tell him he owes me $10. And I want to leave you guys all with this, that make sure that each and every day that you try to make a difference in the life of somebody. And I think that's what we're all here for, as what we're doing with the arts, is really to make a difference in our town as well. So I want to make sure that, again, next week you will be back here with Talk of the Town. I won't be, but I believe Karen will be here. And then down the road, we'll have the Three Amigos back here again, which is just as I like to say, a show about nothing, sort of like a Seinfeld episode. And we're all done. Thank you.